Hello and welcome to Draft to Digital Self-Publishing Insiders. This is Mark Leslie Lefay from Draft to Digital, and I am honored to have with me in the virtual studio today, Philippa A. Werner. Welcome, Philippa.
Hello, good to be here.
So we're going to talk about ScribeCount. Now, I'm really excited to talk about ScribeCount. But first, I want to get into the background of ScribeCount because there's you and there's another person and you're writers and you're trying to make a living and you're trying to figure out where you're making your money. Is that a good segue into where you came from?
Yeah. So Randall Wood is our CEO and the original idea founder of ScribeCount. And so he started publishing in 2007, right after Kindle launched. And he realized, he was going on and checking that clunky Amazon sales reporting page and looking at it, just being like, wow, I'm selling books. And you could go every hour and see what was happening. And then the number of platforms ballooned and the need for data became very pressing. You had to be agile. You had to be able to make those changes for the 2 to 3 week turnaround on books. And it was hours a day looking at each different reporting page. And we've all been there. You're looking at Barnes & Noble, you're looking at Kobo, you're looking at Draft to Digital, you see a spike and you're thinking, okay, is that Tolino? Is that Viblio? Is that... And so in order to be adaptable, you have to be getting this data. Getting the data is time consuming. It's error prone because who among us hasn't copied into the wrong column in Excel? I do it regularly.
Guilty.
Yeah. And so for Randall and I, we wanted to use ScribeCount. And he reached out to me. We knew each other as authors and said, hey, are you interested in helping out with this? And holy crap, was I. And so what's been fantastic about it is you hear about ScribeCount and you think, oh, that sounds really useful. And then actually watching it in action is crazy. Just being able to log in and say, oh, I had a huge spike on Kobo today. I wonder what that was. Or, my urban fantasy series is selling really, really strongly at Apple. I should make some ads. Just being able to see that is incredible. And so here we find ourselves. We brought in someone to do the smart developer part, and we're just doing the author part in the background.
Doing the author part in the background. So let's, this is a different way of getting the data too, because one of the things I think I was most impressed with as I was lucky enough to be an early beta user of ScribeCount is I didn't need to give you all my passwords. Oh my God, revolutionary.
Yes, so speaking of the developers we brought on, they were very kind. They did not, stab us or send a swarm of bees in the mail or anything like that, because we said to them, look, we're working with authors. We're authors too. They're going to want to know that we don't have their data. They're going to want to know that we don't have their login information because their banking and tax information is on these websites. They don't want someone to know how to get that. Right. So you need to find a way to get this information while they still have control of all their data. And we don't have anything sensitive. And so what they managed to do, which we're incredibly proud of, is basically when you set up ScribeCount, you show it several doors. You say, I've got accounts in these places. Here's where they are. And ScribeCount says, hey, could you log in and open the door for me? And you do. And then it can send requests, but you can close that door at any time you want. ScribeCount doesn't have any control over those links between itself and the platform. It just relies on whether or not you're logged in at the time. So when your computer is off, it's not updating. If you decide to sign out, if for some reason you decide, I don't want it to know about my sales at Draft to Digital, I want to be secretive, we won't. You can unsync it. So, okay. Yes.
Okay, so that's cool. And so what happens is I go to the browser, and when I click refresh, I'm just amazed, as an author who doesn't understand the technology, I'm just amazed that I get this beautiful page populated with a whole bunch of custom choices. By default, I think it's this month.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I have other choices like last 30 days. I can do a custom range. I can pick a day. Wow. And it's what, not even 30 seconds. It's probably, 5 to 10 seconds most maximum, I'm guessing.
Absolutely. It's letting the computers do the part that they do best, so that then you can do the part that the computers can't do, which is making sense of that data and writing the books, which thankfully the computers can't do yet.
No, not yet. Not yet. This kind of begs the question I was going to ask you is, so since you started doing this ScribeCount, have you been able to write, or have you just been all focused on helping other writers at this point?
Well, I certainly haven't had as much time to write, but I'm sure you're familiar as a fellow writer and part-time author helper that the writing sort of comes out on its own time. And so some nights you don't sleep because the story wanted to be written. And so it's mostly the story gets its revenge when it can. And otherwise we slot everything in.
Now we are going to take some live questions from the awesome audience that we have here. I'm just going to pop up a couple comments so you can see them. As Alyssa said, who'd have thunk the best author tools are made by authors, because the authors get it, right? And dream team of authors, Lexi says, needs minded people and brilliant developers. Sounds like the ideal.
Yay.
Oh my goodness. So can we, I know this is also going to be in an audio feed in our podcast eventually, so I'll try to describe it, but is it worth you talking through some of the screenshots that
absolutely.
Yeah. Let's give some examples. So let me just drop a banner here so we get a full view. So this is, what do you call this? This is, you're going to describe this for our listeners, but we're going to pop it up on the screen for viewers. What is the sexy term that you use for this? This graph?
We call this a sunburst. And so you'll see each platform has its own color. So Drafted Digital will be that lovely purple. You've got the orange for Amazon, the pink for Rakuten Kobo. And then you can...
A little tiny Google there, I think. A little blue Google you can't see.
A tiny blue, yeah. And so you can see when you log in that you have, X% coming out of each platform, and that will also show on the side. And then what's interesting about the sunburst and very useful is that you can click into it.
Do you want me to show that little video? That
absolutely.
Okay, well, and you'll walk us through this little bit. Now, I had to do the fake version of this little video of how it looks. So walk us through as we're watching this. I think we'll be able to hear us as we're walking through the different clicks.
Okay, so there you can see the cursors hovering over Rakuten Kobo. If you were to click on it, it'll bring all of that data up and just show you that, which means you can also click into each country, be clicking on each book. And that way you could see, for instance, that evasion might be partly print or audio or ebooks. Audio is something we'll be expanding into. And it allows you to drill down. So if you see a sudden spike in something, you can click into that and say, okay, where's the spike coming from?
Yeah, and it's so responsive. Like I that was a fake slideshow that I put together for this, but when you click on it, it opens up all of Rakuten Kobo. And then you can click on the country, and then within a second it shows you that country. And over on the right-hand side, you've got your totals. Either for the books on that platform or the countries. It's a really cool, cool feature.
And one of the things that I love about it is that up at the top, I can be transitioning over and saying, I just want one of my pen names to show, because I write into two main pen names. Or I can set it and just say, I only want the books that I've tagged as epic fantasy or urban fantasy. And then it can give me the different breakdown. And one of the things that's amazing about the sunburst is that if I change the different tags, I can sometimes see the proportions of different places just shift immediately.
And I have to say, Amanda just commented, said, I've only ever hovered on the sunburst. I had no idea we could click on them.
Oh, no.
Mind blown. I'm making a gesture for you, Amanda.
We will make more arrows that go to it. Just like, hey, did you know?
Similar to that, I think I had sent I posted a hack to the Wide for the Win Facebook group, and I said, "Oh my God, this is a way you can tag books." So I tagged all my books in a series, and then I used the tag to see all my series. And then I think you or Randall had commented and said, "Yeah, it's a filter on the top right." And I went, "Oh, that's what that little filter symbol's for." So I didn't even realize I could filter by series or single title, which was really, really cool.
And if you're anything like me, also, you've got a whole bunch of books that you published. They were maybe for holiday things. Yeah. And so I've ghosted some of those because they're not available. Like I'm not selling them anymore, or they're. And so I have a tag that I think is called just tag. That is
tag.
all of the random other books.
Excellent. Now I want to show a couple other images. So we showed the sunburst, which I'm just popping up on the screen briefly. And this was when I used a custom filter, and I said, "Okay, show me my 2020 sales," and that took a few seconds to populate that. And then this I love this is this map. Below that is the global map that shows me my 2020 sales. So obviously they're highlighted. I think the deeper the blue that you see on the map, the more sales. And so you can see your global map. You can see on the right-hand side a tally of what the dollars are. I blurred them out because I don't want comparisonitis to be happening. Either people being jealous of me or other people mocking me. So that's why I blurred those out. But just to take a look and go, okay, here's where on all the platforms. So on Amazon, on Apple, on Barnes & Noble, on Kobo, on Google, for example, those are the main platforms there. These are the places where I've sold books in 2020. And then I think the other really cool map is there's other analytics there. So just high level, so I can see royalties versus units, and you can kind of see the differentiator. And obviously you can see where all the freegans are. All the free downloads versus right as a comparison, so you can kind of get a feel. Like, just where did you guys come up with all the ideas for these?
So what we started with was what we wanted to see, what was useful for us. And one of the things is that everyone sees data slightly differently. Right. And so customizability on the dashboard is our top request. And that's something that we're working on so that people can say, you know what, I really don't do well with pie charts. I would like to see a bar chart. And then we can do that. People can know at a glance, they can log in and they can say, okay, I can see it the way that makes sense to me. Okay. I can set it, for instance, so that this week I'm just going to see this one particular book because I've got a BookBub. Right. And so user feedback has been critical for us, for people to log in and say, there's in fact already been changes on our dashboard about things that are custom timeframes that people can just do as one click. People were saying, I'd like to see last week. I'd like to see. And so we shifted to this month as the default instead of this week as the default. And we brought in the different total royalties, ebook versus paperback, different filtering options. And then that'll continue to change, both because you'll be able to change it in the future for yourself, but also because we'll be coming up with new things and we'll be getting new feedback. So
I love that. So I love being able to quickly see, like, just by default, I can see my ebook sales versus my print book sales. Yeah. And so I think I'm jumping ahead. There was a question. I'm probably going to just bring up a question early because I think it's related to that. Is it okay if I pop up a little question? Absolutely. Here? So Amanda, before her mind got blown, and Amanda's comment is so big it's hiding us, you have to peek over that. So she says, good morning from Montreal. Yay, a fellow Canadian. 2 questions. The first one is Ingram Spark a possibility, and that's the print book. And so I'll bring back her other question later. So does that mean that you'll be bringing up other print platforms?
Absolutely. So we're going to be doing a couple of things. One is that we'll be adding a manual expense and income tab. So if there's income that, for instance, doesn't come through a platform at all, if you're just contract writing or things like that, you can put that right in.
Author, for example.
Exactly. And then if you have income that's coming through a platform we haven't added yet, you'll also be able to manually do that. And we'll just be bringing in platforms until we run out. So Ingram
Okay.
Spark is on there. All of them, Smashwords, some of the
Wow.
apps we're looking at. It's we'll put them roughly in order of what people are requesting and
Okay.
go from there.
Prioritization.
Mhm.
Okay. So right now, for example, I do have print books with KDP Print.
Mhm.
I am in the D2D print beta program. I'm lucky. I know some people. I got into the beta program. And I do have books with Ingram Spark. So that means very soon, right now I'm able to see KDP Print and I'm able to see D2D Print, but very soon I'll be able to go, oh, and now here are my Ingram Spark print titles.
Exactly.
Okay. Wow, that is
So
cool.
Smashwords was far and away the most requested. Ingram Spark. A lot of
Right.
them are pretty much tied after that. Ingram Spark. We've had a lot of requests for Find Away and Audible, obviously,
to
and so
audio.
audiobooks are coming.
Audio, of
Mhm.
course. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
exciting. So amazing. Wow, that's going to be really, really cool. Because yeah, I mean, I've had to go and take all these separate spreadsheets and compare them, and then I would take my traditionally published income and then my other mixed revenue, which is kind of all over the place, and then put them all together and go, okay, now I know what I did, because that view I had of 2020 is right now just ebook and print through draft to digital and
Exactly.
Kindle. Okay, wow. So I guess the next question I was going to have, because I'm asking this because I'm selfish and I get to ask you in front of everyone, is, so I do publish to Apple and to Barnes & Noble as two of the big five retailers. I publish through draft to digital. And my map, when you looked at it, and I'll just pop it up really briefly so we can kind of see it. So when I look at it, I go, okay, so there's Amazon. And there's Kobo, and there's Google, which is actually growing really nicely this year, which you can't quite see the little white sliver there. And then Draft to Digital is really not just Draft to Digital, but it's for me, it is mostly Apple and Barnes & Noble, then a whole bunch of other places. But it is even because of the payment splitting, and I have more and more projects where I'm publishing to everywhere through Draft to Digital. So I will have Amazon sales and Kobo sales and Apple and Barnes & Noble is. And one of the things I was hoping to be able to see is, I mean, I love Draft to Digital. I'm a little partial towards this wonderful company, but I don't really care that it's Draft to Digital. I care about the retailer because I want to know how the retailer is performing. It doesn't matter how I got to the retailer.
Yep.
So that's what I'm curious about.
Yes, and that is also a top request, and will be relevant also, of course, with Smashwords. So we will be able to filter out and see, you're getting your draft to digital sales via Apple, via Barnes and Noble, and this will be one of the things that we'll likely release one version of to start with,
right?
And then as people give feedback, we'll be looking at making it adaptable. So for instance, when you log in, if you publish to multiple sources, I'm sorry, I'm getting a slight echo.
Oops.
You'll have the choice of whether or not you want it to come in as draft to digital first and then segmented by retailer. Right. Or do you want it by retailer with a slight indication that part of that is draft to digital? And so that's the question. Right? Yep. And I think that's one of those things that it simply is adaptable by author. Not every author is going to want that the same way. And so because what we're in the business of is giving people data, it only makes sense that we're adaptable to how they get that.
Yeah, because for example, like I do have titles in Smashwords as well, and so some of the titles, like I'm using, Kobo directly, I'm using Kobo through Smashwords, I'm using Kobo through Draft to Digital, and so there's all these weird combinations of stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess every author has their own weird dog's breakfast of the way that they've published, right?
Yes, yeah, and of course, then there's also the question of how do we show once we've got 45 platforms that we're looking at. We want to make it so that it's not just a dizzying array. And you look on and, I mean, how can you really tell if 1/45th of the sunburst is slightly larger than it used to be? And so there will be options to make that more visually accessible. There will be if you're under 5% of total sales, you filter into the other category or things like that. Okay. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that is quite amazing. I think the customizability and the flexibility is awesome. But something we haven't touched on is this must cost for a beginning author if I'm just starting out and I've only got like, maybe I've sold 5 books in all of 2020. And I mean, I've got to pay at least $100 a month for this this quick service.
I sold 2 books in my first year, and one of them was to me.
Just to make sure it was working.
So if you're selling 5 books in your first year,
So, but I mean, so beginning author, they don't have a lot of sales, but they want an analysis tool to help them build their sales. I think there isn't a chicken egg issue here, because I think your payment structure. I'd love you to tell us about how many thousands of dollars is this going to cost me? That sounds like an infomercial, doesn't it?
Well, there is.
It's going to be expensive, doesn't it?
We're happy to announce for April 1st that there is a special tier for $1,000 a month, where one of the founding team will stand behind you, and every time a sale comes in, we'll go ding and poke you on the shoulder. So that is a little bit more expensive.
Can I apply to be one of the ding people? I would like to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we can be, we can ring a bell. It's really, we want to be customer focused on this. So whatever sound effect works for you. Little choir of angels.
Every time a bell rings, an author got a sale. Sorry. But how much, let's say I'm only bringing in $100 a month. How much is this going to cost me as an author?
Nothing.
What?
It will cost you nothing until you are making over $500 a month. So we've all been baby authors.
Wow. No, seriously. So if I'm not making $500 a month, I can go in there, I can check it out. I can use all the tools for free.
All of the features. And
hopefully it helps me get to above $500 a month. So
exactly. That is part of our hope is we, in the indie author community, I found people are just so helpful. Randall and I have both been the beneficiaries of so much advice, so much guidance and mentorship. And so I think every indie author is saying to the baby authors, don't make the mistakes I made. Here, I'll make this easier for you.
Right.
And so we want to provide this to the new authors, and say you're coming back after a big hiatus, which is something that I actually did quite recently and had to start revitalizing my backlist. You really need that data. But if you're bringing in $100 a month, $200 a month, paying for an extra tool is really not something that you can afford or that you should have to do. And so as you grow through the tiers, so $500 to $1,000, you'll be paying $15 a month. $1,000 to $5,000, $20 a month, and $5,000 and up is $25. But when you're just starting out, or you're getting back into things, you'll be able to use all of the features. It doesn't matter which payment tier you're in, and that will change. It'll be based on the data from 2 months prior. So if you sign up anytime in April, it'll be the data from February. That data is concrete. It means we know that all of the returns have been counted and all of that.
Right. Okay.
And so you'll be paying based on that month, and then that will roll forward. And it goes up and down. So if you made $5,000 in 1 month, and then the next month, I don't know, Amazon went offline and Draft to Digital crashed, and all you had was like Tolino, and
that's true. Yeah.
You
took all your books off sale because you just wanted a break. You wanted to stop making money.
Yeah, you were just like, I don't know. I don't think I want to do this anymore. We won't make you keep paying.
Okay. Wow. And that actually kind of leads to a question. So I think it was one of Amanda's other questions. I'm going to pop it up on the screen for a second. And I think it was, is there any way we can have reports on returns, like when they happen, on which book, from where? And I have to say, thank you so much for ScribeCount. She says, I love it.
Oh, thank you. We are glad you are enjoying that. And yes, 2-pronged. So returns and then also pre-orders are things that we're looking at, because those are
pre-orders.
Yeah.
Whoa, I like pre-orders more than I like returns.
I also like pre-orders more than I like returns, but but yes, we'll be working on that and bringing that in.
Awesome. Cool. Going to bring up a few more comments just because I think they're worthwhile. Susie O'Connell says, loving ScribeCount so far. Yay! And Nadine said, I didn't know about Filtered by Series. Nadine, you and me both. I didn't know there's that little filter thing. It looks like a little funnel, like the oil thing for your car. One of those little
For me,
funnels.
it was I managed to miss that you could just filter by pen name, and so I had tagged all my books by pen name, and then like I
You can
had
filter
missed
by
that.
pen name. Yeah, you did the same thing I did. Similar. Amanda says it's great for figuring out read through. Because how does read through? How do you figure out read through using ScribeCount?
Yes. So what you'll be looking at is you can look at your series and just say, okay, so here is, I'll use my Light and Shadow series. I bring that one up and I can see how many, for me, it's first in series free is Shadowborn. So I would look at how many are being sold with Shadowborn, scroll down to the bottom where it shows total royalties, total sales, and I can see across different platforms. And then if I click into different platforms, I can see different read through. So there was a recent post that was made by Erin Wright over at Wide for the Win, where she talked about the fact that, hi, Erin, where she talked about the fact that her read through and the amount of paid books that she's moving compared to free books is vastly different at different retailers. And so that is another thing to watch. And it's something that's very good to see.
Love that. Oh, that is really, really cool. So yeah, I love that analytics, because that is really going to help authors with getting to the next point.
Yep.
So, all right.
Yes, and we will also be looking at measures of responsivity to advertising, as well as velocity of books, to say, hey, you had a promo on this book, you marked down, it really doesn't look like it budged, versus you had a promo on this book and boy, howdy, did it just go through the roof. So
wow, that is really, really cool. Posting a comment from Sasha, who says, I'm glad I caught this. Hearing about ScribeCount everywhere. Now Aaron does say hello back to you. There you go. So I got that. So, Nadine says it's so worthy. I'm an accountant by day job, and that gives me all the data I need. I guess that's a good thing to hear, right? From the accountant.
Best endorsement. Yes. Thank you, Nadine.
Nadine, reach out to ScribeCount if you're looking to give them a testimonial. So what are some of the and again, any questions that people have, just drop them in the comments. I can ask those questions. What are some of the questions that have caught you off guard so far? Because I know, I've been sort of pestering you with, can I have this? Can I have this? Is there anything that caught you by surprise?
I'm sorting back through questions. Most of them have been variations. There were a surprising number of people who have multiple accounts at different at different retailers. So like you've got a publishing house versus you've got your own books under your own tax ID.
Right.
And so that's a huge puzzle for the development team. How are you pulling data in multiple places at once? That was surprising. Okay. Other than that, it's mostly been just variations on the theme. Randall and I had the first surprise comment for our development team, which was we started working on merging books and immediately merged the wrong books. And it turns out that demerge is way more difficult to program than just merging books in the first place. So we were, of course,
about merge.
Okay. So merge books is at different retailers, you might put the title slightly differently, or they might display the title slightly differently. Right. Which means that as we're pulling in the data, those appear to be two different books to ScribeCount. Right. It's a computer. It doesn't realize that Shadowborn with a little colon after it is completely different from.
Right. And is that because like maybe you have a real ISBN on some platforms, then an ASIN, then the Kobo dummy ISBN and all those things? And so for instance, Barnes & Noble, I think, is the one that doesn't really show subtitles. And so if you want the subtitle, you put it in the title field. And then ScribeCount thinks it's two different books. So you go and on the bookshelf tab, which is 3 down, there's a little manage books drop down, and merge books is one of the options. So you can merge all of the different versions of the book and just see, okay, how's this one book doing across all of the different platforms?
And if you're like me, you will probably misclick at some point. So be very careful. So our development team is very kindly working on a demerge option, which they've described to us as making soup. So if you're making soup, you dump all of the carrots into the pot. And then if you're trying to demerge, you're trying to like fish all of the carrots back out again, which is possible, but harder.
And you're trying to get the flavor of the carrots out of the soup too.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a whole.
Because it's so hot, they've started to melt.
Yes. So for now, be very careful when merging. Don't make my mistakes.
Oh man, wow. So the other thing you talked about earlier, just to explain, is so you've ghosted a book. Now that's not that you stopped texting the book back, right? When it's like, hey, what happened? I thought we were
when are you gonna finish, mate?
But what is ghosting a book?
So ghosting is maybe there's a book that you don't want to see anymore, or you had a pen name back in the day, and every once in a while it puts through some sales, but you don't really care about it, or it's just something that you don't want to see come up on your main feed. You can, under the manage books thing, ghost that book. It'll still show up on your bookshelf, but in all of your analytics, it won't show. So if you were to download your CSV file of, the past 3 months, it wouldn't be there.
Oh, okay, neat. So it's just, you can kind of ignore it, just like ghosting somebody in real life.
Exactly.
Okay.
Pockets number,
We're done. So I guess the question I have I mentioned I do a lot of collaborative projects through Drafted Digital's payment splitting, which is very convenient because then I don't have to worry about taking money and giving money away. D2D does it all for me.
Yes.
So when I'm looking at payment split titles right now, I'm just seeing am I actually seeing, this is a question I'm not sure, am I actually seeing the dollars I'm making, or am I seeing the dollars the book is making? This is a question.
You're seeing the dollars you're making.
Okay, so it is taking that into account.
Yeah.
All right. And then okay, interesting.
Yep. And one of the things that we're looking at for the future is people being able to give permissions, much the way D2D does, for sharing a series, to say, hey, I'm tagged on this series, and my royalty split is 30% of the revenues. And both people will agree on, what those terms are, and then it will show the data. So it shows it coming in, and say you co-author a book with someone, you aren't able to publish it through a platform that has a royalty split auto-made for you. It's still going to show you just what your share is for that month.
Okay. That is really, really cool, because that's the thing you're tracking. You're like, okay.
Exactly.
And that's what the retailer, or that's what D2D is telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, obviously it all makes sense to have a certain view. If you're publishing multiple books with multiple people, you may want to look at what your whole revenue will be for that month. But then you can also switch over and say, okay, this is my share of what's coming in.
Wow. So I want to get to a little bit more technical stuff. So it's browser based. Are there certain browsers, like if I'm using Netscape browser, is that a good browser to use for this? Or
it's never a good browser to use. My apologies to Netscape.
Love them. They were good once.
So right now we've got Firefox, we've got Chrome, we've got Internet Explorer. Safari, those who use Apple products know Apple tends to sort of march to the beat of their own drum, which can be immensely useful. It can also be very difficult when you're trying to do things like browser extensions. So we're still fine-tuning the Safari extension. That will be there soon.
And you've pre-answered Mary's question on if there are any ScribeCount will work with Safari.
There isn't a specific ETA, Mary. I am so sorry, but it will be soon. So
okay.
Hang tight.
The main browsers, right? The main ones still. Okay, that's really, really cool.
Yep.
And now the question we have to figure out is, does Netscape actually still exist? Aaron asks.
I don't know.
So, I don't know. I go to MySpace from it all the time. So we do have room for questions from the live studio audience from around the world, including at least 2 Canadians in here with me that I saw. That was it. Canadians for the win. Amanda said, because Nadine apparently is also from
got
Montreal. There we go. So, so I'm gonna, while we're waiting for other questions, I am
Yeah.
actually gonna ask you. So, what are you working on now?
At
Like, what are you
ScribeCount.
writing? What are you writing right now?
What am I writing right now?
Yeah.
I am writing an epic fantasy series that
Okay.
is, I mean, it's got all of the different things I like. It's got the magic, it's got the demonic invasion, it's got all of that stuff. But it also has, I don't know if you've ever had the experience of watching a movie or reading a book and something goes horribly wrong and the character just sort of shimmies up a wall or lies their way out of capture glibly, and you think, God, I would be so dead if that were me. I would be so bad at all of that. And so a lot of the characters in the book are characters who were not trained for the situations in which they find themselves and are just
Okay.
like, I don't. Now would definitely be the time to like hack and slash my way out of this group, but I have never handled a sword in my life, so I have no idea what to do.
I love
so it's
that.
been immensely fun to write, and all of that will be coming out next year. So.
Oh, that is awesome. And so I'm glad to hear that you actually have time. Well, see, now that you've helped build this tool and then you can get some more analytics, and then you know what's working in what countries and what platforms, right?
Yep,
All
and
those
that'll
things.
definitely be me sending huge shipments of coffee beans to the developers saying, "Can you get pre-orders working? Can you? Can you?"
So I can understand this. Yeah, that would be so cool, because I mean, I've already seen some pre-orders on some series books that I've been pushing, and I'm pretty thrilled. It's like, yeah, I guess I should write that book now. Now that there's a bunch of pre-orders for it, right?
The indie world.
I
Like,
have
yeah.
this very, very important question that we have to answer from Susie. It says that my stepdad was raised in British Columbia. Does that count
That counts.
vicariously? It does count? Okay, so she's vicariously Canadian. Welcome, Susie. We have some poutine and maple syrup for you. So, okay.
I'm in Minnesota. Does that count?
So this, I think this is a comment from Zara saying, "Please wait while we process your information." Is that is taking a very long time? Is that
Dear. Could I have slightly more info? I don't know if you're.
Oh, if there's slightly more information. If not,
Are you
where can they
on?
email people?
What?
Where can they email their questions to ScribeCount?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So they can email support@scribecount.com.
Okay.
Or there is a little blue support button in the bottom right-hand corner that has a tiny question mark. You can also click on that and it'll send things directly through to us.
Okay.
The support@scribecount.com email goes to the exact same place.
Okay.
So Zara, if you're still watching, if you can send in slightly more information as to which screen you're on, is this your first doing setup or your first doing, let me know. Sometimes it can take a few syncs. Each of them are about 15 minutes. So if you first logged in and you're trying to pull data, for instance, back to 2007, it may take a few of those 15-minute syncs to get everything pulled in.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Because Amazon looks at this person knocking at the door who's come in and been like, "Hello, could I have all of your information, please?" Like,
okay.
Really? Who are you?
Excellent. Well, that's really, really cool. And this is a question Nadine brings up that I think is kind of pertinent. So I think talking about pre-orders, which you can't see through your Kobo Writing Life dashboard. Does that mean if you can't see it through Kobo Writing Life dashboard, does that mean you probably can't get it?
Yeah, we have, so each platform does things slightly differently. And Kobo brings to mind another issue, which is that you can see free data on Kobo for that month, but you can't see it in the reports,
Right.
which means that the way ScribeCount works is once a month is closed, we pull directly from the sales reports. And so people's free units on Kobo disappear. People say, I know I had them. Where did they go? And the thing is, well, they're invisible on Kobo now. So pre-orders will have to find a way to get them, and that will be slightly different for every platform. So it'll be usually we try to work directly with platforms on that to say, hey, for instance, we're working directly with Draft to Digital to get
I wonder how.
that breakdown. Who knows? I'm sure there are some people there that you can get in contact with.
Okay. Let me just, so this was, Zara was confirming it was a full screen setup, and thank you.
Okay. Let us know if it starts to work during this. If not, email us at support@scribecount.com and I will
Hang on, I'll bring that up again. There it is, support@scribecount.com.
Yeah, so hopefully it's starting to come through now and you're seeing
Okay.
stuff on
And
that.
then, Randall is offering his suggestion. He's saying if you're talking about picking the default date range, then, hang on. No, he's answering a question that I was going to ask you. So Aaron asks, but right now it decides that it's going to show me daily, monthly. Can I control that? Like, I think, can she set a default that says, when I log on, I only care about, my default is this, not 30 days, not.
Yeah, you will be able to set that. That's not
Okay.
It's on deck. It is not deployed yet. So
okay, that's what Randall was answering. As I thought he was leaving a comment, I was like, no, he's answering a question from the field. It's a tag team, right? He's answering the text questions. Okay, cool. Okay, so Lois asks, and this is my question: what about breaking out Apple and BNN within D2D and global diversity?
I'll get to global diversity in a moment. Yes, we will be breaking out Apple and BNN. For global diversity, slightly more information. Are you talking about publishing platforms in, say, China or India or things like that? Or Tolino? Or if so, we are absolutely looking at those.
And it's by request, right? So it's by popularity. So the more authors that are requesting it, the more likely you're gonna.
Yes. Okay. So if you have a request, absolutely email us to let us know. We'll also be seeking out different platforms to make sure that, if there's a platform out there, even if no one has requested it, we can still provide it. Because if it's out there, if it's generating a lot of data, someone probably wants it, even if they haven't emailed us.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And it's there when you show up, which is kind of handy.
Yeah.
So good news. Again, Randall's just sharing in the comments that Safari is scheduled for May. Yeah, May. That is awesome. Yeah. I just about broke into a Joan Jett and the Blackheart song. So
in my head, it's still January, so I was like, "Oh, May," and then I realized, "Oh no, it's April now."
It's April. So D2D data comes in as that's what she's talking about. So D2D data comes in as US because it's a US company, or other, not as Canada, which would be where most of my Kobo sales would probably be, right? That kind of thing.
I see.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's what you'll have to work with the good folks at D2D to see if you can get, I imagine.
Yeah, I hear their team is good, so we should be able to make
smart people. Work. Some of them are bald, good looking,
or very nice suit jackets.
We have about 3 minutes left. If there's any other questions from the live awesome studio audience, and if not, I'm gonna probably ask another question of my own.
Oh.
Did you have any questions? Because I thought, hey, why am I putting you on the spot the whole time? I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Yes. Is there like a special tag I can put on my books to just hit number 1 on D2D every time, or just like a little hack code there?
Yeah, actually, but we don't tell anyone because that would make it way too easy. Yeah, we want people.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
Secret sauce. Okay, cool. The live awesome studio audience can't post in screenshots. Oh, screenshots would be so nice. Unfortunately, that's not a feature, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Oh no.
So I'll have to talk to StreamYard about that. But they are not our guest this week. Our guest this week was Philippa Werner from ScribeCount. Philippa, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you to the awesome live studio audience for asking some great questions. So people can find out about ScribeCount. Where can they find out about
ScribeCount.com.
ScribeCount.com. So it's kind of like this email address, but without the support at. Yeah, that's because I had to change
Very like.
So I just want to remind folks that we do these semi-regularly, these Draft to Digital Self-Publishing Insiders. If you want to be notified, when you go to your Draft to Digital dashboard, you'll see upcoming shows posted in a banner on the top left. You can watch these live on Facebook, on YouTube. While you're there, follow us on Facebook. Follow us, subscribe, and click that little bell dingy to be notified when we post new videos. Because not only do we post these new videos to YouTube, but the lovely Kevin Tumlinson, my colleague, who has the lovely, beautiful voice, does lots of great walkthrough videos and explains all kinds of really cool, snazzy things that you can use with Draft to Digital. And yeah, of course, so there's ScribeCount.com. Alyssa's just posting.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Andy Alyssa is posting from there as well, and Draft to Digital too. They're cool people. I like them. So cool. I guess one quick last question.
Yes.
Will there be potentially for affiliate or partner relationships?
Yes, we will be rolling out an affiliate program for all users, and stay tuned because that will be out shortly.
Awesome. Well, Philippa, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and thank you to the live studio audience. And a happy writing to everyone out there in the universe, and happy data analytics while you're doing that. It's
not as scary as you think. We will make it pretty and useful.
We'll make it very, very pretty, right? Okay, cool. Thanks, everyone. Take care, Philippa.
See everyone.